Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here, Smirking and Reviews, back with more Stranger Things Season 3. We're on Episode 2. It's called The Mallrats. So, full spoilers if you have not seen this episode yet. Uh, yeah, I took notes. I'm learning already from this, because there's a lot going on. And I want to make sure that I cover everything. So I pretty much wrote down every scene and anything kind of significant that's going on. So if you're new to the channel and you're liking the content, please hit subscribe. We got tons of content on the channel. We just did a stream on D's reviews for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you're interested in that, you can go check it out on his channel. But let's just jump in, because this was raising questions and answering them in the same episode. It has just a lot of good stuff right out the gate. So we had our setup episode. It's done. Now we got to talk about it. So Billie's not dead. Like I said in the last episode, he wasn't going to be dead. They show him in the picture for the next episode on Netflix. But we see that there are upside down people. Okay. Now we never saw anything but, monsters, or what we call monsters, in the upside down. Now, I don't know if these are actually versions of us in the upside down, where there's like a person to every one of us, kind of like how I believe the rats are. Like there's a creature, maybe like the demodogs or whatever. Maybe they're actually, a version of, if they take over the body here, right? If they possess the body here, we end up becoming what they are. It's like a switch over or something. Kind of like a reverse body snatchers kind of thing, I guess, or a different kind of body snatchers. But it's really, really interesting. Okay, so if they're going to stick with this upside down thing, thank God they're kind of taking it in an interesting direction. Especially, like, as far as the creature effects and everything goes, it's, even though it's a more CGI-y, uh, God. It still looks pretty cool, and it's really gross and creepy and wet and bloody. Ugh. But, he's told to build what you see. Okay, so I don't really know what that means yet. But, and then, so Billie's basically taken over. And again, they couldn't, he's the perfect character to do this about, because honestly, he's already a villain in my book. And if he were to die because of what happens in this, I probably wouldn't feel that much. It's still not really right that it happens to anybody, but whatever. And Mike lies to 11, and the whole big thing, one of the biggest themes of the show is friends don't lie. But now that he's in a relationship with her, they're trying to say, well, he's not your friend anymore, he's your boyfriend. But that logic is just stupid. It's not the show's fault. It's just a logic that people have that's kind of flawed. But Hopper's really happy about this, because now, he doesn't have to worry about Mike putting his hands all over his adopted-ish daughter. But I also like the whole thing with Mike and his mom. Like, she's on the phone. Okay, so for those of you who don't remember, or were not born when landlines were a thing, really, they're still around, but most of you don't have to know the embarrassment of having multiple phone lines in the house and knowing somebody's listening to your conversation. Oh my gosh. Like, this is so true to life, of just, get off the phone! I love it. So Hopper goes to Winona's store and, gets to use his victory over Mike to segue into a hopeful not date with her. She hasn't moved on from Sean Astin's character, and I like that they show that she's heartbroken, she's upset, not like he died and he was heroic, and he was like that second chance at love. And Hopper, they kind of set it up in the end of the second season that they were maybe going to be a thing. Honestly, again, I wish that more shows just relied on mutual respect for each other. But I don't know. Maybe that's just because I'm single. I like to see other single people or something like that. But I like it when they're like before Mulder and Scully got together. You know what I mean? Like I liked the mutual respect aspect of the relationships. But in this scene, we get a call back because the magnets at her house stopped on the refrigerator, and I was like, oh, okay. But then it happens at her store. Now, is it plot convenient that it's happening in front of her? Yeah. Um, and I'd say it wouldn't be the case if Will had been in the like room. Like maybe the connection to him in the Upside Down would cause that. But he wasn't at her store when this happened. So it's a little plot convenient, but whatever. Um, and I like that she immediately tries to start trying to figure things out. She's had enough strange things happening to her. So where magnets stop working, she's gonna look into it. She's got all these books out and everything. It's really, really funny, and I'm really again appreciating non-freak out Winona, um, who ends up going over to the science teacher's house, where he's listening to My Baloney by Weird Al, a cover of a homage or parody of My Sharona. I really like the beat, but oh my god, it has to be one of the most like Weird Al. You're really stretching it on that song. But this is I love this because we get some science, and science is awesome. And I don't mean to be like how everybody's talking about science these days or whatever, but science is cool, and I love the whole thing that he sets up with the conductor and explaining electromagnetism and what could cause that and what could cause the magnets to fall out and how big of a device you'd need. And it starts to answer questions that I started having about what's really going on and where and when and stuff like that. We also have Nancy and Jonathan chasing the story. She uses the old girl problems, chestnut, to get out of work, which, again, this happens, the whole, oh, men can't handle women talking about their periods kind of thing. Like, I guess it was like that. I guess it's always going to be like that, though, right? I mean, if somebody, like, imagine if guys walked up and said, wouldn't it be the same thing if guys like, hey, to their female boss, excuse me, ma'am, but I have to go home. I've got a raging bout of jock itch happening right now. I think it would work both ways. You know what I mean? So they always try to force that kind of whatever joke out there, like, ooh, men can't handle periods. Whatever. Let's get to a part. They end up going out to this lady, Miss Driscoll's house. And she's just, that little old lady out in the middle of nowhere. She's listening to her little record, which would sound really sweet, except in the situation they're in, the music makes this scene extra creepy. I like that Jonathan and Nancy kind of remind me of Lois and Jimmy, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, in this. And we get to see the first captured rat. Now, of course, they leave before it turns into whatever the hell it's going to turn into. Again, it's a CGI effect, but it's really cool. And it makes me wonder, again, maybe these rats are turning into something that's on their side. So I feel like that's kind of what where we're headed, or some sort of situation that's similar, that the Upside Down is going to try to take our world over and make everything like theirs, right? I mean, it's predictable, but like, it's not an unpleasant. I don't dislike this storyline, if that's what I'm trying to say. Next we have music. Okay, yeah. Next we got a scene this scene that we're finally talking about, and this is what I've been looking forward to, and it was one of the highlights of last season, was the unexpected friendship between Dustin and Steve. And I'm so happy that they didn't like retcon this or just go back to the way everything was. I guess that's what retconning is, and how these guys are fast friends and buddies and really close now, and they got their own thing. They got their own way to shake hands and everything, and it's really, really cute. It really is. It's nice to see like a couple of guys be friends, especially because Steve used to be the cool guy until he started hanging out and protecting the kids. He needed something to do. I don't know. I think it's really interesting because he's kind of like a less assholey Bran from the Goonies. But Their whole thing, their dynamic is really great, and I got really jealous. I got to be honest with you, because I say I identify with Dustin. I'm like, where's my Steve? I want a Steve as well. I mean, I guess I could say maybe the real Gino's could be my Steve. If he sees this, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We don't need a bromance to happen or anything. It's just, but I'm joking. But at the same time, it's like I could use a Steve in my life. But the whole thing with the translation of the tapes and everything, this whole sequence is the most fun, I think, in the episode. Him, like, trying to say it without saying it, and of course he blurts it out, but nobody's going to care. And I just like his reaction. That's what I thought you said, okay. And then bringing in Robin, who is another highlight of this episode, and I hope that they do more with her, because she's, you know, they're just they're bored people at an ice cream shop. Even though it's like a busy-ass ice cream shop, they have a lot of time to translate Russian tapes. Also, Lucas's sister, I didn't talk about her in the first episode, but she's also been a highlight of the show, and she keeps getting funnier, going back for extras on the ice cream she's already tried, and just giving her like the attitude. I love it. I love it. That little girl is hilarious. But they end up translating it. They get the code that we hear from before, and let's see, I'm trying to stay kind of with each storyline. So they end up translating it, and they figure out, because Steve was obsessed with the music in the background, and I really wasn't paying it no mind. I was going to wait for it to, you know, give us that information, that thing that was going to connect it, because I knew they were going to make something out of this music. And it turns out it's the same music as the little horsey ride out front, which means that whoever sent this transmission is here and not in Russia. See, that was one of the questions I had from the first episode was, where's this happening? Because I kept looking at their uniforms and going, are they Russian? What are they doing at the energy building? And I think they established that it was the energy building, right? But I wasn't, when I saw the Russian uniforms, I thought, well, maybe it's just a building that looks like kind of similar to that in Russia. And then I also wrote down a question of another superconductor, because the science teacher says that the machine would have to be massive. And I'm like, okay, so apparently they have a superconductor here too, and there's another team working on this. But no, it's not. It is that the Russians have somehow infiltrated the energy building in Hawkins. They have their superconductor. They're trying to reopen our gate that we got closed. So none of this is taking place in Russia, which is crazy. It's a nice little bait and switch. And also, yeah, it's like, nope. So we got this secret code going on. And so that just answered, like, we're 2 episodes in and they're already answering our questions that we have. I like that. We're not waiting like 6, 7 episodes to get information. I've been watching a lot of stuff that doles out the information slowly. 11 and Max and the guys at the mall is all really, really funny. Especially when they get to Victoria's Secret and they're looking at all this stuff and they see it and they kind of understand it, but they at the same time they're just too young to handle it. I think their minds just exploded, and I think Will probably just hit puberty when he saw that store. 11 and the Exploding Orange Julius, it was fun. I don't know why they did that to those girls. Were they mean to them earlier? They probably got dirty looks or something from them, maybe. Carrie Elwes is the mayor. I remember when Carrie Elwes, okay, so it's just the one role, right? Princess Bride, where, you know, he plays one of the most iconic romantic leads, you know, in history. But ever since then, he's just kind of always been, and not counting Robin Hood Man in Tights, because he's also funny in that, but it's almost like the same exact part a little bit, just a little less heroic, more airplane version of his character. But ever since then, he's just kind of always played like an asshole or a generic kind of cop, or just some regular schlub like in Liar Liar, where he's just a nice guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like Carrie Elwes never has really gotten much of a chance to stretch as an actor. He just can't see, he's very typecast, and so I was like a little underwhelmed to see him as the mayor. I don't mind him as an actor, but they've usually gone with, I mean, he's iconic for The Princess Bride, right? So why don't, I guess maybe by making him an evil mayor, it's the opposite of his character in Princess Bride. That's the point. But you know now that he's in on it with the Russians, that he knows about this. So he comes to town, and, you know, he has the mall come in, which is, you know, causing protesters outside. So he's already got that as a problem, plus the Russians. Like, this guy's got his fingers in a lot of shit. In this episode 2, Mike gets dumped by 11. I just wrote, good. I know they'll get back together, but it's a really funny scene because he just won't stop lying, and now he's dragging Lucas into it. Poor Will's just back there wanting to play fucking D&D. Like, Dustin wants his friends back, and Will just wants to play D&D while the other guys are chasing girls. Hopper and his reaction to his fancy dinner shirt. This is cutting-edge stuff. Plus, a restaurant with an orchestra, a little mini orchestra. This small town thinks really big, doesn't it? Like, I don't know. It feels like a small town trying to be a big town. Because I think that it's probably, I would say Hawkins has got to be kind of like one of the smaller towns around me. Bigger than, like, it's like the town that's right next to me almost. A little bit bigger than that. Like, if you took our town and the next town over, we'd be about the size of Hawkins. And trust me, well, maybe Hawkins is still bigger. I don't know. Just all I'm saying is that you don't see too many small towns with mini orchestras in their restaurants. Also, the pronunciation of Chianti, great. Because I used to, being from the restaurant business, I always used to hear people saying, like, can I have a carafe of Chablis or Merlot? Can I get a quesadilla and a fajita? But he gets stood up because Winona's over at the science teacher's house, so he gets wasted and just pronounces kind of low-level Scarface, you know, I can do what I want. I'm the chief of police. I love that. I also like that the science teacher's trying to debunk Winona's ideas. He's kind of pulling a Scully on him until he does come around to, like, well, if this could happen, this is what it would be like. So that's all really cool. The secret code, we covered that. Okay, but the whole thing with the Russians, man, like, it's coming up because this is 84. In a few years, the wall in Germany comes down. Communism kind of comes to an end. And there was this beautiful time called the 90s, and I know that, you know, nostalgia, whatever, but there was a period when I was, like, in my late teens through my 20s where we didn't have to worry about the Russians. It's like bookended. When I was, like, little, we had to worry about the Russians, and now that I'm older, we're back to worrying about the Russians again. But in the 90s, we didn't have to worry about all that shit for a while. It was nice. You guys don't know how nice it was. I mean, there were problems, but, you know, our president was getting a blowjob, so. The music scene is a Hersey ride. The Russians are at the energy building. I already got that. Hopper gets drunk alone, and the mayor knows. And then Billie takes the... Well, first we have Mike's mother trying to apologize, and at least we know now that she didn't go to meet him after dolling herself up. And man, the actress who plays Mike's mom when she's not looking like Mike's mom, she is one beautiful lady. But she's trying to explain to him why she didn't show up, and she doesn't know that he had this whole thing going on with the Upside Down. And he envisions smashing her head in, and I actually thought that something bad was going to happen to her in there, not just because it looked like it was going to, but I was like, oh shit, I think they're really going to fucking maybe kill her. And he just shows him slam her fucking head against the wall, like against like the bookcase too, which, man, that would have just been, if that didn't kill her, but it's all in his head as usual. They pull that crap. It's what, you know, his feelings are telling him to do. But later on, his feelings tell him to not kill and to kidnap the other lifeguard and take her to where he was. And it appears that the thing that was sucking on his face is about to do the same thing to her. It's a really creepy effect. It's better than black smoke, thank fucking God. And that's the episode, and that was awesome. That was awesome. That's Stranger. This is what I want out of Stranger Things, is episodes like this that give us all that kind of 80s nostalgia fun with this really crazy dark underbelly that is slowly but surely getting played out in front of us. We've only got 6 episodes left, and I'm also glad it's only 8 episodes. That means that there's not a lot of time for filler. It's straight story time. And hopefully that's how it plays out. But anyway, that was fantastic. That was so much fun to watch. I can't wait for the next episode, which I'm going to start watching as soon as I get back from work in about an hour. And by that time, maybe one of the other episodes will be ready to be uploaded. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber. Join us on the fun of this channel. If you're new to this channel, there's tons of playlists. And so that's about it. So yeah, if you want to contribute to the channel, that'll be in the description below. Yada yada yada. I'm Rob. This is Smirking Gun Reviews. We'll be back with more Stranger Things in a little while. And yep, that's it. See ya.